Fire Mage seems to always go through the same routine in Season of Discovery. Whenever a new phase arrives, the early simulations show Fire absolutely smashing everything and becoming the top dog. Mages around the world get super excited and show off their sim results on Reddit for all the developers to see, and then a few days before the raid comes out, it gets nerfed to the ground. Well, this has happened again. If you didn't know, this time around Blizzard went after the Ignite mechanic and basically cut Mage's DPS in half. This left Fire Mages at the bottom of the DPS meter, only beating Shaman. Since the nerfs, my comment section and DMs have been flooded with people wanting to know what to do with Fire, asking for a Fire guide. Well, I do have some good news for you. I have just spent 8 hours inside the Fire Kitchen, simulating every single gear set, combination and build possible, and finally I am happy to reveal that I have a build that beats absolutely everything in Nax. So get ready, grab a pen and paper and join me as we look at Fire Mage in Season of Discovery Phase 7. Before we start, I've recently just set up a Twitch account where I plan to stream more often. You can go follow me there. It's twitch.tv/SeANO WoW. The link is on the screen right now. First, I want to briefly go over the pre-best in slot gear and talents. I know this is a bit late for some of you, but we need to cover it anyway. For the talents and runes, it's mostly the same as Phase 6. You take all the best talents in Fire and go into the Frost Tree for Elemental Precision, Ice Shard and Piercing Ice. These 3 points after can go anywhere you want. If you are the Scorching Mage, you can of course take the improved Scorch to get the debuff a little bit quicker. If not, frost channeling like this can help a little bit with mana, but you can also take improved Flame Strike if you want to. It's entirely up to you. For the runes, we have Hot Streak on the head, Enlightenment on the chest, Spell Firebolt on the wrist, Living Bomb on the hands, Frost Firebolt on the waist, Icy Veins on the legs, Spell Power on the feet, Overheat on the cloak, and the rings, Fire Specialization and Frost Specialization. It's exactly the same as Phase 6. Then for gear, we have our 8 sanctified items by having the Undead Cleansing set, plus the Amulet of the Dawn, the Malefic Belt, and the Band of Piety. We're also keeping the Enigma set for the 4 set and the Vaulted Secret set. If you didn't know, you can now get the Enigma pieces without any Brood reputation, so if you are a new character, you can just run AQ. If you get the pieces, you can go and buy the gear. For the shoulder enchant, we want the Soul of the Elementalist. This gives us 1% increased damage every time you cast a spell from a different school. Spell Firebolt gives us all 3 stacks of this buff, while Frost Firebolt gives us Frost and Fire. Arcane you can trigger with any arcane spell if needed. The DPS won't be amazing to begin with, but this is the best pre-raid, and once we get specific items from the raid, we can then transition to the new build. So here it is, the best Fire Mage build for Phase 7. Straight away you'll notice we're going into Shatter. No, that's not because we're getting Fingers of Frost or any hipster thing like that. It's because of the new set bonus, which we'll go through in a moment. So in order to get Shatter, we do need to drop Flamethrowing and Blast Wave, but it's well worth it and is a huge DPS increase. For the runes, it's very much the same. Hot Streak, Enlightenment, Bell Firebolt, Living Bomb, Frost Firebolt, Icy Veins, Spell Power, Overheat, Fire Specialization and Frost Specialization. I have tried so many different combinations, but these runes are the best. Bell Firebolt is still very, very good. Now, onto the gear. Honestly, I've ran so many different options and some are very, very, very close, but this is definitely the new best in slot. We do have the legendary ATS staff here, but if you're not on the priority list for the staff, you'll want to try and get this Soul Seeker. So we have the Frostfire set from the head, chest, braces, belt, boots and ring. This is the most efficient route and has the best DPS, but if needed, you can get it in other spots until you have the perfect setup. Getting the 6 set is a priority here. You also want the Enigma on the shoulders and the legs. This is the highest DPS combination, but as I said, you can mix and match if you need to until you get this perfect setup. Again, a reminder, the good news is that you do not need the Brood rep any longer, so you can just run AQ and get these items very easily. For the neck, we want the Malice Stone Pendant. This is very, very close with the Gem of Trapped Innocence. Obviously, the Gem of Trapped Innocence is a higher item level, but over so many simulations, the Malice Stone Pendant has beat it every single time. But if you do get this gem, obviously you can use that as well. For the cloak, it's the Cloak of Necropolus. This is 1% better than the Veil of Eclipse. And for the gloves, we want the Cultist Hand Wraps from Karazhan Crypts. You can keep running this if you want to get the perfect stats. They are very nice gloves to have. For the rings, we've got the Frostfire ring as explained, but we'll also want this Ring of Eternal Flame. This is a very nice ring, and since it's fire damage, it shouldn't be too contested. For the trinkets, we do have the Mind Quickening Gem, which is obviously amazing, but we also have this new Restrained Essence of Sephiron. This trinket is very nice. Outside of the Restrained Essence of Sephiron, an honourable mention here is the Mark of the Champion. This gives you 89 spell damage against undead and demons. And finally, for the wand, we want the Doom Finger. Now for the shoulder enchant, we want the Soul of the Torture, which is basically the Vaulted Secrets bonus. It gives us 3% increased fire damage for each of your fire effects up to 9%. We're obviously used to this set now, but it is very good to go into phase 7. Now the way this build works is you are holding your 3 fire effects on the target while fire blasting on cooldown to gain the Enigma set bonus and having a huge uptime on Ignite. We are also maintaining the evocation buff from the Frostfire set, and the 6th set bonus is incredibly strong as your Ignite does not decay and targets take damage as if they were frozen. Now this is where Shatter comes in, as during that 20% window, your crit chance is absolutely insane. And you start going into Berserks mode. And when a mage goes into Berserks mode, that's it, you're gonna be the GOAT. It's actually amazing. As you can see here, even with the Ignite nerfs, we've managed to figure it out, and Frostfire Bolt and Ignite are absolutely pumping. And now for the rotation. As always, just before you pull the boss, you will channel your evocation so we get that buff. You'll want to apply your Living Bomb on pull. This will build up the Scorch debuffs. You only need to reapply this if the Scorch debuff is going to fall off, or if you're struggling with the fire effects. You'll also want to Fire Blast on cooldown with the usual macro that we use, and use any hot streak procs as they occur. Then you'll want to pop your Icy Veins with your trinket and cooldowns, and you'll start casting Frost Firebolt. Once you've got Living Bomb, Frost Firebolt and Pyro on the target, you'll also get a bunch of ignites, and you'll quite comfortably have 3 fire effects on the target. At this point you can start casting your Bellfire bolts, and you'll want to use your combustion before your second cast. Then obviously after your 4 stacks are done, you can start going back to Frost Firebolt using your Fire Blast on cooldown and Hot Streak procs as they occur. Of course, like I said, you can see no Living Bomb here as we keep 3 fire effects on the target with Ignite, Pyro and Frost Firebolt, but if you do struggle, you can reapply Living Bomb. After the Icy Veins fades, you can Cold Snap and use your Mind Quickening Gem and Icy Veins together. How you do this is up to you. You can either use it straight after the first lot, or you can save it for your next round of Bellfire bolts. It's good to remember about how much damage we do when the target is under 20%, so if they have an in-range mechanic or anything like that, you might want to keep your Icy Veins for that moment, but obviously you don't want to waste it. And by waste it, I mean you shouldn't have Icy Veins on you once the target is dead. Then lastly, depending on how long the fight goes on, you may need to evocate again to keep the buff up. As always, this build absolutely slaps in the short fights, but as the fights get longer, it will lose value. But to be honest, most of the Naxx bosses I've done so far have been very quick. So yeah, this build is absolutely amazing. Once the targets get below 20%, you'll start critting like crazy and doing huge damage. This build honestly looks so fun and has so much potential. You should definitely be top DPS on fights up to 2 minutes. After this time, Warlocks will be catching you, but you should still do exceptionally well. Hopefully this video helped you guys, and as always, if you have any questions, please write them down below and I'll get back to you. Also, if you can follow me on twitch.tv/SeANO, it will be super helpful. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and have a lovely day.